every time I see it.
Welcome back to HGC here in North America, where Team Naventic are 2-0 right now, sitting pretty over B-Step with some fantastic plays. It seems like the break really working out for them.
Yeah, it is. And it's nice to see. You know, the Naventic's downfall over part 1, I think, was heart-wrenching for a lot of people who have been fans of the North American scene for a very long while, to see them kind of crumble. And a lot of the times it didn't even feel like it was... It felt uncharacteristic of the group of players just on an individual level, and that was so severe to at least show signs of life here at the very beginning. I think it instills a lot of hope, but it's an inverse problem when looking at the other side. It's equally credible group of players, even maybe more so when looking at the entirety of the team, and now very weird play style coming out from them and not working out very well, you know, and not even looking to conform, I guess, when it comes to standard. At least in their drafting.
Well, now it comes down to this. Game number 3, B-Step, all their extra lifelines are out. So let's see if they're going to choose Battleground or if they want first pick for this last game. They want first pick. So Team Naventic has chosen Battlefield of Eternity, a game or a map that Naventic for a long time has been known for playing.
And then wasn't doing too hot at the beginning of Phase 1 on the map. He just threw out it all. You know, a lot of teams seem to have a far better grasp than they did. But now, kind of returning to old form, maybe we'll see a very dominant game coming out from them.
Yeah, currently they were, well, I actually don't have their BOE record, but interesting to see both of these teams. When we started part 1, B-Step was focusing on having a super poke comp. They had things like Zuljin, Li Ming too, and they were just trying to play the poking game, being everywhere at once and slowly just whittling down the health bar of the Immortal. That changed a lot because it didn't always work out for B-Step.
Yeah, they would run that kind of 1-4, you know, a very heavy focus put into it, and then a lot of it came down to poke for a while for some of those teams. I stacked those. I'm proud of that. Just saying.
Yeah, I am too, because I tried and I just gave up. It wasn't working.
No, I love it.
You have a gift for stacking.
I should have worked at Walmart. I messed up, man. You know, think about it. Those guys stacks a lot of you know, I'm just saying. Shielder's probably going to be removed. At least one of the two when it comes to the ban phase. I don't know. Force the Tacit ban into Naventic. So what does B-Step want to rid? They rid of the Lucio, meaning that's going to be a first pick Malfurion almost 100%. But at this point, I don't feel confident claiming I understand B-Step's thought process. Like, there you go. So forfeiting a support.
Maybe that ban is solely just B-Step saying, we are confident versus any support Kemba plays except Lucio.
I mean, that could be.
He's gotten away a lot.
Yeah, he has gotten traditionally, he would have died about 4 times where he couldn't have died because he was playing Lucio. That is a good point. That could be the thought process behind it. But it does sacrifice control over the supports. There are a lot of other supports that are viable on this map overall, but still not at the same power level of that of Malfurion. But that's going to be the Tyke is still sitting at the top of priority for Naventic, so they think this guy is still staple. High priority there. So now we're I don't even know where to begin. With the Arthas now? Traditionally,
at this point, B-Step would have picked Kharazim. Not necessarily in this rotation, but if Malfurion's not available on Battlefield of Eternity, Kharazim was the next go-to for APM. They may try to focus on getting some good heroes, like if Li Ming is the thought process, just good heroes overall for the race, and then say, okay, well, we already aren't going to get Malfurion. Whatever, if Naventic wants to ban another support, we feel okay with either Rhaegar or Kharazim, so we can wait on that until later on.
Well, I mean, we're about to find out 4 seconds before they're forced into one of the picks. I guess into both. Murden and Li Ming. All right, I thought we would see the Li Ming just because she's so valuable, but with the Murden in the double warrior here, it is a little counterintuitive to picking Li Ming because typically it's going to be that poke offensive, whereas double warrior already, even the minute you pick Arthas, you're committing to heavy defensive focus. So I thought they might cycle it through and then look towards it on the second ban phase, but they're going to lock it in. Morales now being hovered for Naventic. No surprise, capitalize on the Lucio ban on the side of B-Step. You know, it makes, without a doubt, the most sense to me.
Definitely. I anticipated a support here. I just didn't think it would be Morales. So
I agree. I would ban the Karazim over the Morales as well.
I don't know. Well, it might be that these two teams scrim each other quite often, and they know something that we don't about APM as well.
And I mean, to be honest, North American Karazims are usually only 7-sided strike machines for the most part. When we do see Palm, it's very rare to be effective. You know, compared to what, like, when we watch the Western and Eastern Clash Karazims, outside of a couple games from Mary Day where he seemed very off, I mean, it looks like a different hero. So I can see, you know, Morales is significantly easier and way more North American play style to be able to rid of that over the Karazim. Less focus on international, more to the respective region, and what they think is more forgiving.
Warrior ban, I think, is a possibility here for B-Step.
Yeah, no, it's kind
more
of
than possibility. Yeah, like I very much thought that that's what they were going to do.
The Varian, though, is removed, which Naventic really enjoyed, not just in general, but also onto the BOE. So where, with Tyka's already picked up the Malfurion, obviously they have concerns of their front line or the lack thereof. Johanna, not necessarily their best map she's seen once in a while. And if you want to see Naventic move into a double warrior like they did before, Greymane is, or excuse me, Tyrael. Greymane strat is my first thought, like you run the Greymane, but again, we see Tomster playing the Tychus, so therefore he's their Greymane player most of the time. I guess Big E's played it from time to time, but move into like a Tyrael, another warrior, and then Greymane as the last pick. But it just seems like North America is going to pull away from that hero in general.
Maybe ETC.
Yeah.
I think ETC is going to be the pick.
Dahaka again.
So we don't have B-Kids here yet. Dahaka and Lunara.
Interesting to see that here. Lunara, though, love the pickup. Think it's decent into double warrior, but it's just in general, I think is a really strong DPS compared to most of the damage dealers in the game right now. B-Step.
Karazim? Is it Karazim or something else?
It's Karazim. Is it Karazim Ariel is what I'm concerned with. Is it a double support? I really hope not in this case. It just doesn't add up very well on BOE specifically.
What would you like to see? Another melee or something like Vala?
I would like a Vala.
Okay.
Like if you move into a Vala Karazim, I think it'd be a pretty solid comp. Karazim is one of the better, but I feel like they see the Lunar and they're instantly like, we need a double support. And then the Dahaka exists on the side of Naventic, so they get out macroed, and the game slowly but surely just gets pushed in, and B-Step is looking to fight. There's a Karazim.
Falstad.
Falstad, all right.
Maybe the other choice, if not Vala.
Yeah, the Vala's better on the race, worse on the macro, but, you know, Falstad, thinking back, I think it's probably a better pick.
Yeah,
I think he's been undervalued on this map in general. I said that once in a while in part 1. Just because I think his race potential is actually really good, and his side soak is insane. So yeah, the Falstad, really well done. Where do we see Naventic move?
It's B-Kid's pick. ETC would give more lockdown, pair up with Malfurion's roots really well, allow Lunara and Tychus to do damage.
I feel like he gotta. I mean, call me crazy, but I feel like into a double warrior on this map. Into just the Li Ming. Falstad's a little bit of mage damage. Do you counter the Arthas as long as we go into the Swarm? Or Leo? All right. I'm still deciding how I feel about the Leoric. Leoric got a huge buff on this patch, like a huge buff.
His damage, his basic attack damage, as well as his Q. And then he also renewed swing possibly, but again, we've talked about this. It's hard not to give, or it's hard to give up unyielding despair.
Yeah, it's a pretty good talent. Like it
really
synergizes with your 13 so hard.
Especially versus double warrior.
Yeah. So I don't think we're gonna see that, but yeah, no, it's the Leoric. I don't see him on this map, I guess, is the place I didn't expect him to kind of pop up. It would be that of like Infernal or anything, just because he doesn't do too much on the map objective itself. He can sacrifice a lot to get side soak and be in that solo, and Dahaka get clear on one, Leoric go to the other to be able to get clear. And he is very forgiving if it makes it to 15 minutes into the game. Leoric is really crazy if you make it that far, but it's BOE, and you have to consider the early game a lot. Before you can bank on what is my late game strategy. You know, it's not like Infernal where you'd be like, what's our 20 look like? Because that's going to matter.
Was he chosen for disruption for the other team?
Well, I mean, it could just be literally into the double warrior, expecting the focus onto fighting, and he is still good on the side clear. It just wasn't my first thought, again, with the, you know, having the HGC still available. But he's got a really good skirmishing. He got huge buffs. And if he makes it to 20, he's just a monster. He is, like, the damage output he's going to have in double warriors is insane.
Well, let's see if this Leo is enough to let Naventic close out this series, or if B-Step can bring it back right now.
It also works really well with Lunara. Anybody who has sustained DPS in the long run usually does better with Leoric in those styles of compositions. It just... Tychus isn't going to be the best at getting in there to be able to do damage into the entomb targets, but I like it. I like B-Step's draft now better than every draft we've seen from them so far by a lot. So I am hopeful that this game is going to be significantly more competitive than we've seen in games 1 and 2.
Change up in Li Ming build to Astral Presence to make sure that Li Ming can continually throw out poke damage here for the Immortal fights. Force Armor was the choice for Yoda, but in this case wanting to make sure that she can not worry too much about not having mana. Oh, that drag! That Howling Blast! King Caffeine for now is surviving, should go down though, especially with the run and gun from Tomster, the overkill, but can B-Step try to tie things up with kills? It looks like no, they have to run away.
But Falstad has soaked top this entire time, so if only one kill goes off, depending on how many minions are going to be lost on the top half of the map, Naventic actually will fall behind. No, I forgot. They have the Haka. Then, you know, it's the global factor. So, in fact, very well done for Naventic, setting the tone once more. And I can't help but note, just it feels like a different team here. B-Step feels like they are underperforming, but Naventic feels like they are recovering.
Yeah. So I agree.
It just, like, that early game aggression, even just watching the 5-man rotate, get a pick, and then instantly global out and then match their opponents, is just, it feels so old school from them. And it's exciting, you know, to now think of, like, the potential that this crew might have after finding the time to have a break.
That really could be the start of their comeback story here in NA HGC. And they need it. Like we've talked about several times, they are just above No Tomorrow and tied in how the matchups have gone, just ahead in their games.
That one on the radar that we've established was only a deleted onto B-Kid, as he got picked very, very
Yeah, do you
quickly.
want to share the super deleted radar?
So you have super deleted, which is just very quickly, usually under a second of dying, but if it's mere like quarter or at least under a half second, you got the super deleted, and then you got the holy cow, I blinked and somebody died, and that is our super duper deleted.
Yeah, I think we've only ever seen one super duper so far. It's a very difficult criteria to achieve.
We set a high standard here.
We do
at
here
HGC.
at HGC.
for our deletion scales. But now we do experience the dance of Battlefield of Eternity. Falstad's looking for a bit of side soak. He's going to end up making the transition down. Big Impact's Wisp has scouted that, but nobody's going to look like they're going to move up to punish it. Maybe I'm wrong. It hasn't revealed it because he's just sitting there looking to get the trader. They don't care. Tomster gets caught out.
That was a beautiful dive from B-Step, but it's not done yet. Drag on APM. He's able to heal himself back up.
Yeah, I thought for a moment it might cost him his life. They turn it once more. The Stormbolt lands. The Burrow's there. The passive's going to be ticking away. And Lunara actually gets the kill onto APM, and she's not done. Big Impact gets Stormbolted. Howling Blast in the combo of CC. She barely gets away. Zuna drags. No way they turn this.
Dream has so low mana.
B-Kid, he's got it. The Q. Oh my gosh, the W though cost him his life. There's no way. a bloodbath here. 3-3 in picks. K1 Pro, no mana for barrel roll. It should cost him his life. The nade is enough if he autos.
Trying to dodge it. He was trying to dodge it. He dodged it. Dread just face palmed and walked off the desk. We'll have it back in a couple seconds. Don't worry, guys. I think it's going to be okay.
We've talked about Tyka's kills so many times on when do you nade. It just every time the target is in front of the gate and the nade is thrown, I just die a little bit on the inside. It's just
you get so excited. You're like, oh, here it goes. I gotta land it. I gotta land it.
He's got the play. And it does. I mean, at least K1 Pro went for the juke. Like, I'll give him that much. It was harder than every other time I've criticized that. It's not fair to cross compare to every other example that I've seen so far, but it is rough to see. Calf is going to be going down there. Another run and gun paying off for Tomster. Yeah,
Tomster has been kind of out of control here on his Tychus.
Yeah, you know, we talked about how they have high priority still onto a hero that a lot considered, you know, depending on what part of Reddit you scavenge, dead. And he very much is, oh man, he's making justification for such high priority that they have as a hero, or in their draft. He's taking that, you know, first rotation and making it totally worth here for Naventic, and part of the reason they're going to be up two games in this series.
But this does look a bit different for B-Step. Yes, they have lost out on kills just slightly, but B-Step got the first Immortal, so they haven't gotten this potential spiral out of control with the objectives, and even a tower taken down. Thankfully, though, a nice defense for Team Naventic, and they're sitting pretty still, maybe getting another kill. Roots on King Caffeine, no Avatar yet, and he is blown over the wall and face plants on top of some Khazra.
Yeah, perfect synergy there from Naventic, gets them another pick off. It's going to set them slightly ahead, but still the experience is all that we're going to set our focus to for now.
Arthas is checking to see if anybody's on the bruisers or even going to see this rotation from Zuna, so that buys a little bit more time, and that gets the full minion camp pushed into the wall, so small victories.
It's what's needed, you know, here if they're going to make the comeback. And also one thing to note is this is, I want to say it's old Falstad build, but it's not. He's got a couple of variations that we see from time to time, but this was what used to be considered the standard when it comes to the Falstad build, with the Gathering Storm shielding there on 4, and then looking for the Boomerang on 7.
What is not standard is Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
For Muradin.
Yeah, that is really, I like it though. Honestly, I really do. I think that the bonus damage that it provides, especially with the stacking and one, and also the mana is the biggest thing, because Muradin actually once, a long while ago, used to have a build that was the standard to go into stacking and then siege damage that you would be able to get out of the Sledgehammer.
Especially on this battleground.
Yeah, it honestly for a while was just the go-to period because he was such a lane bully. But it's going to really be able to accent the poke and suddenly make, with that iron, with the momentum there he gets with the Iron Dwarf?
Iron Forge.
Iron Forge. Oh man, super deleted there onto Li Ming. One pick, but the Iron Forge momentum is a tool that allows you to just get the reset. He can accent the race. Muradin is actually a race factor now with the talent tiers of B-Step.
But Nature's Culling is too.
Yeah, you know, we don't have to talk about that. You know, we see that before. That's not neat. Why you got to be playing your standard actually min-maxing talents.
I was using it as a segue to talk about how fast Naventic burned down the Immortal, and you ruined it. It was a beautiful segue. I set it up. It was like a nice toss, and you just like, no.
Good old whiffaroon on that one. The race continuing, but B-Step here is not going to win. As you said, the Nature's Culling ripping it up, and is going to set a Naventic here with a relatively healthy shielded Immortal. 10 still yet to be achieved, but there is a global for B-Step. So this small window where they're going to be at a huge disadvantage, never mind, it's going to be completely capitalized on with this Entomb.
McIntyre slowed and blown to pieces by Big Impact. That has sort of been the story for Arthas this game, is Biggie has been focusing a lot of his attacks on Arthas, and it's got to be so infuriating already. You feel like a slow, bulky warrior doesn't have any sort of speed help this time. Leaping Strike, Twilight Dream, and Karazim's down. Biggie's going for another kill on King Caffeine. They'll get away. Man, Tom Sturgeon actually going for the max range Q there to try and get it over the wall and get another pick off.
But this is going to be the front wall going down. Right as I said, you know, they have a global. This window is not nearly as harsh as it needs to be. They risked all the positioning in the world, and Naventic flanks flawlessly. The Entomb, Zuna with the burrow onto the backline, landing the drag. All of this set up once more by the ruthless play of Naventic. Just a different team. It's astounding to see this play coming out from Naventic. I'm beyond excited. It just feels as if though B-Step is sitting in a position to where they're giving a lot more than they are used to be giving up as a group. Oh, Stormbolt was dodged.
There's a slow. Howling Blast. So Team Naventic can continue the siege in bottom lane potentially. They're kind of waffling around there deciding what to do. That keep is low and it looks tasty. But Naventic doesn't have any...
The waffle looks tasty?
What? The keep? Oh, yeah, waffling also would be tasty.
I was like, the waffle's tasty?
Did you get a snack between...
I did not. I'm sorry. The minute you said the waffling, you're like, it looks tasty. And I was like, yeah, you know, waffle sounds good.
That's true. The keep also looks tasty for Team Naventic.
If Naventic can lock that in with a 13 power spike and only sacrifice Leoric, that's a really big win. It doesn't look like they're posturing for now, but they could get away with it with Nature's Calling. It's very realistic that they just go up there, throw out a couple of auto attacks, a spell, drop a W, sack Leo, and walk away with a huge lead. But they're going to play more passive.
Even if Naventic doesn't go for that, just a threat of it, having Leo in that lane is going to force B-Step to sit back longer and let Naventic get the better setup once this Immortal spawns in 15.
Timing of this camp by B-Step. Naventic does scout it out with the Wisp, but, you know, it's not like that was new news by any means. Everybody had a pretty solid understanding that the timing here is going to be wanting to min-max as much as possible, and Naventic's going to be capturing theirs a smidge later.
Yeah, this is really good for B-Step. They happen to spawn right where a lot of the members were, so they're going to start bringing this down. There's no 13, though, for B-Step. McIntyre caught and Entomb. B-Kid going for the throat. They're trying to keep McIntyre alive through all the damage, and they do. Good
Gust as well, and though it is good for B-Step right now, that camp on bottom will be able to secure the keep. So they're going to have to send Falset, and he actually had to rotate up to force that Gust. Falset is now going to make that movement, and I expect Naventic to try and capitalize on that rotation.
B-Step are so close, though, if just a couple more combos from Li Ming would take out.
Yeah, it would just be a few more, and it looks like they are not going to get it yet. Good zoning coming out from B-Kid. And Falsight got the clear. I thought for a moment it would force the flight so fast that the actual camp would actually gain value, whereas traditionally it would not. But no, this is going to be smart play here for B-Step. Still down in talents here. Nature's Cooling doing what it does.
Yeah, it puts a timer, a big clock in front of B-Step to try to figure out how to stop this without 13. They might have done it, though. They're diving on top of Leoric. Wraith walks out. He can be healed back up. Even if you lose Leoric, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and it allows you to just pretty much be willing to kind of throw a body out in these situations. And if you only lose just the Leoric, you're like, you know, it's going to be fine. Oh, man, that Odin, not necessarily the best positioning. Tomster gets the cleanse from Ken. Gus is going to be forced, though, so beautiful dive by Zuna to force panic out of B-Step and the rest of the team.
Stormbolt, Twilight Dream.
That Twilight Dream was huge. Hitting onto 3 people, the palm does not land. And that is going to be already 2 members dead here for B-Step. 3 falling, oh, K1 Pro into Big E. The passive on the, or the W, excuse me, a level 4 talent would allow him to trade. I mean, what do you say? Naventic is a different beast.
Yeah, that was a lot of posturing for a long time until B-Step thought they had the answer. They thought they had caught somebody out, but the damage output from Naventic already so strong, and the Twilight Dream from Kenma was amazing to be able to start the turnaround on that fight. And Big Impact will slowly let the poison tick down, letting his team get every advantage that they want. And once again, this is the second time we've seen Naventic focus on doing this.
Yeah, it's a really smart play, and honestly something that I hope trickles down to the rest of North America. Anytime you can force that, why not maximize your advantage somewhere before timing it with the objective, forcing, you know, what you gain of the objective Yeah, it just grows exponentially, really, with these kind of power spikes. And with 16, even only being this early in the game, this is a position to where it could be a double keep, and if enough people die, it could be even lethal. B-Step has to do anything and everything they can to rid of the shields before this keep front wall dies.
Falstad and Dahaka hanging out in the bottom lane. Falstad wants to clear out that camp, so it's not as much of a concern, but with Dahaka there, zoning him away from that, that keeps Falstad in the bottom lane, so a little bit of less of defense here. Shields have been brought down on the Immortal, though.
Yeah, the shields have been removed, which is a huge, step in the right direction. The keep now is going to be the focus. Nature's Calling doing a lot of damage. Falstad is now going to zone up towards top, and that means that Kizuna is going to have free reign over the bottom keep here. And it doesn't look like Team Naventic's looking for lethal yet. They're going to commit to the double keep. There goes the Force, though, with the Entomb. Will McIntyre be able to make it out? He survives for now.
He does, but he has to use Army of the Dead to do so. He's taking damage. The harassment from Tomster in the back line, plus Lunara's poisons, was getting a lot for the Warriors to handle. Avatar was used too, and with all of that burn for B-Step and the huge advantage that Team Naventic has, they're once again going to play it patiently until the moment of execution.
It just, B-Step, not only with the timing objectives, but then even looking at how they took that last fight was just so pretty. We might lose B-Kid here. I'm pretty confident that's gonna happen.
Oh,
Twilight
no!
Dream!
Oh, he flew into the dream of roots!
K1 Pro trying to get the picks in the play, but Kenma saying not today. Setting everything up for what could be the beginning of the end. Palm is used and procced. Root not landing.
No, it's not going to matter. Those slows are way too out of control. Entomb there is on McIntyre. This might be at least one kill on B-Kid. B-Step.
iDream going down. And I think with the minion waves, they can do this. Naventic might play it a little bit slower, but without 16 talents here, man, if that root hit, that was almost 100%. We have 2 seconds before Gus is up, so no, Naventic's going to commit, but they can't get away with this for now.
He's going to position.
Oh my gosh, they're going to risk it.
He's trying to go for the Gust. There's the Gust. They turn around, focus on Zuna. He's going to burrow and tunneling claws until adaptation brings it back. The core is falling of B-Step. Can B-Step hold?
But with McIntyre going down and K1 Pro, the 1-2 double kill there for big impact, 43%. Odin is used, and Naventic, clean sweep here over B-Step, 3-0.
19 kills to the 6 as Leoric falls. We'll make it an even 20 as Li Ming drops. Team Naventic came in today with a lot to prove, and that may be the start of it.
Yeah, I am beyond amazed with specifically the 2 players that seem to stand out, surprisingly, for me, was Kenma and Zuna.
Yep.
They both looked like they were giving their all today, and that was the reason why it seemed like Naventic kind of came in with a different game plan, and we know that they're strong influencers and leaders within the group, and it makes sense that kind of everyone would rise to the occasion if they are putting up that good of gameplay on their own. And it was just amazing. Like, even just the outplay between the initiation up on top keep, like, that was one of the best plays I think I saw all of today, was purely just of, okay, draw Falstad so that you can't rid of the Immortal very, very well. You get rid of the keep. The minute the keep drops, look for the Entomb. You aren't looking to kill anybody. You're legitimately just going, hey, we're trying to force, worst case, you sacrifice Leo, free keep onto bottom. Like, they did the right things, because if you don't initiate there, then somebody rotates down onto the Dahaka, they get a pick down there, and you lose. It was just so much more calculated in moving as a unit out of Naventic here today.
Yeah, even, like, everybody was on, too. You mentioned Kenma and Zuna, but Tomster, I feel like that's one of the first times that we've been like, dude, Tomster is showing up today. Biggie with his Lunara.
Yeah, Biggie's
Leaping Strikes. We were already talking about him before, but
yeah,
shout-outs to him, too. And then even B-Kid was in concert with the rest of the team.
It's just, what do you say? You know, how I guess the only thing you really can say is that they had a lot of time. They knew that they've had problems, and we all can only hope that they were looking to be able to solve those things. And at least for now, we can say that we show signs that they might have. And that this is one of the most intimidating rosters that exists in the entire North American scene when they are in their finest form. But now it's kind of, we have to see if this continues, because both of these teams have had these roller coasters of weeks. You know, they show up in week number 1, week number 2 could be a completely different squad.
Nice thing for Team Naventic, though, is they have another match this weekend, and it's versus No tomorrow. So if they can continue that momentum forward, they could be looking at just 2 straight wins But we'll see. I mean, No Tomorrow had the same break, the same possibilities of being able to fix things and then get back together.
Yeah, I mean, both of them seemed to struggle a little bit when it came to their internal conflict at times. So, yeah, I think it's going to be, you know, does No Tomorrow have the tools to be able to find it as well? No Tomorrow maybe not as formidable of a five-man squad when looking at the history of competitive heroes of the Storm, but we all knew that they were another one where, especially with some of the newcomers of the squad, even like Casanova, have a lot of hype and could really perform very, very well as long as they could find themselves. So hopefully we see that for every team here at HGC. But it's really exciting to see that from a squad of players that we've known for so long, like Naventic.
Well, let's hear from our victors today. We've got Zuna on the line. Hey, Zuna, congratulations being able to defeat B-Step. I've got to ask straight up, you guys looked so solid today, where part one, it was a struggle for you guys. What kind of changes did you guys implement to have that strong showing?
I just think it more came down to we actually started playing the game more. Like the first split, we weren't taking it seriously enough, and our play style, like we were still kind of new and we were learning it, but now that the second split happened and we had a good break, it was just enough time to start clicking together and like divining how we want to play as a team.
And then you are now pulling back to kind of that pseudo frontline player, you know, as the secondary warrior at times. We've seen you beyond the warrior, we've seen you go back to range, and now residing once more with the warrior. What's the thought process there? Just the carry as usual, or what?
It just comes down to it's a lot easier to shot call as melee because I can pick the fights, especially if like second warrior is the one flanking majority of the time. So we were like, if I'm shot calling, then I probably should be on the second warrior because it's a lot easier. So we just switched it up, and it's been working out pretty well for us.
I agree. I mean, I think it even showed in that last game with a couple of flanks you had with your advantages. Very well done.
Zuna, you guys your last series in part one was versus B-Step. It came down all the way to game number 5, and then you lost that. Did you anticipate that it would be the 3-0 that you guys had today?
I didn't know about 3-0, but I was feeling really confident coming into the games. We practiced a lot, and I felt really confident with the drafts we're coming out with the meta right now. So we definitely had a huge confidence going in the games, but the 3-0 was really nice.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear. Really proud of you guys. You guys played awesomely today. You're going to be playing No Tomorrow on Sunday. Any thoughts about that matchup?
They're a pretty good team. We just need to make sure we play as good as we do, not tilt, and just run strong drafts, and we should be able to beat them.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah, shout out to my boy Tim that I met at dorms, and Krug, because he's the boy, and then, of course, Naventic, and all my fans that believe in us.
Well, thank you very much, Zuna. Good luck versus No Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, that's it.
That's it.
Came in, 3-0'd, conquered.
Walk away, you know. You just come in another day at the office, show up, do your thing, play your game. Should be able to come out on top. You know, I think that is usually for a higher-end performer and a guy who's been known to sit at the top of whatever game he's going to be playing, it makes a lot of sense. That's the mentality. You know, it's just come in and don't do bad things rather than come in. We have to have the miracle day, you know, to come out and get a win there. And it's healthy, I think, across the board for him as a group and the entire group to be able to have that thought process. So, and it was nice to hear, you know, that they feel like it was more of identifying themselves, finding themselves as a group of players rather than it was just kind of like, you know, we just played well today.
No, I totally agree. And I even think that just his thought process on, I'm not going to pseudo melee because I want to carry the team. I'm going there because it's easier for me to shot call. That even shows a level of maturity from last year that we saw like at DreamHack Austin, where he was talking more like, oh, just put me on what I can carry. So exciting to see these changes for Naventic. We'll get to see how that works versus No Tomorrow on Sunday. For now, let's take a look at the updated standings with the 2 victories we had from Gale Force Esports and Team Naventic today. Naventic are sitting in the same spot. Like we said, they have a mountain to climb if they want to be able to get back into the standings and avoid the Crucible at the end of Part 2, but every series matters, and it starts with this one.
Yeah, and then, you know, the only other adjustment that we see is that Tempo Storm after the first series that we saw, it just moved upward, purely based on the fact that they haven't played the same amount of games as the rest, but we have more of those coming up for you guys through the rest of this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to get to see Tempo Storm play tomorrow. In fact, let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule, because just like old times, we've got HGC all weekend long. Tomorrow, starting off in Europe, we're going to have Synergy versus B-Genius, and then playing Ducks, trying to take on the Western Clash champions of Team Dignitas. Here in NA, Team Freedom versus Superstars, and then No Tomorrow versus Tempo Storm. It's a rough series to kick things off with for No Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's, you know, going against such a formidable squad and long-standing roster like Tempo Storm, it's got to hurt, you know, especially if they feel like they've gained momentum in the downtime after the Western Clash. It will be a bit of a struggle, but, you know, you got to accept that sometimes that's the hand you're dealt. You know, I think especially if they plan on truly kind of recovering from what happened in part number 1, that is, it's in my opinion, a great place to start. It's a perfect measure of like, where do we really stand compared to the rest of North America?
Exactly, yeah. They can just look at this as a testing point to see how much they have improved. And maybe even they've improved so much that they can get a surprise win over Tempo Storm. But we'll have to wait until tomorrow for that. For now, we are all done. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Heroes Global Championship. Until tomorrow, we'll see you
in the Nexus.
That might be the answer. Looks like they're going for the throat.
Yeah, they are not giving anything up. Calf gets onto the point. The boop stops it. The horrified drop. Sound barrier actually does not land. And there is the Aegis. Things could not have gone better here for B-Step, but even then, it's only an even trade. Not even. Zuna's on the chase. They still have the upper hand, and McIntyre doesn't have the tools. 4-4-2. That was a 5-man Twilight Dream. The best positioning. Tomster gets the cleanse from Ken. Gus is going to be forced, though, so beautiful dive by Zuna to force panic out of B-Step and the rest of the team.
Stormbolt, Twilight Dream.
That Twilight Dream was huge. Hitting onto 3 people, the palm does not land. And that is going to be already 2 members dead here for B-Step. 3 falling, oh, K1 Pro into Big E. The passive on the, or the W, excuse me, a level 4 talent would allow him to trade. I mean, what do you say? Naventic is a different beast. Took that last fight, was just so pretty. We might lose B-Kid here. I'm pretty confident that's gonna happen.
Oh,
Twilight
no!
Dream!
Oh, he flew into the dream, the roots!
K1 Pro trying to get the picks in the play, but Kenma saying not today. Setting everything up for what could be the beginning of the end. Palm is used and procced. Root not landing.
No, it's not going to matter. Those slows are way too out of control. Entomb there is on McIntyre. This might be at least 1 kill on B-Kid. B-Step.
iDream going down. And I think with the minion waves, they can do this. Naventic might play it a little bit slower, but without 16 talents here, man, if that root hit, that was almost 100%. We have 2 seconds.
Life is an adventure. I mean, have you seen this Nexus place? There's limitless worlds to explore. Constantly new things to see. Ew! Sure, there's danger too. What's an adventure without a little action? Oh, I can help with that. I am the Storm Scout after all. And for Storm Scouts, life is an adventure.